Hi, and thanks for joining the S.J. Child Show. The S.J. Child Show brings value to families through education and resources. But the S.J. Child Show isn't just about me, it's about us as a community. Join me as we help educate and support our community, help bring kindness and love and inclusion to all. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and watch. I really appreciate all the support from all of the viewers and listeners, and I just want to let you know I want you to join me on this journey. Come and follow my social media, and let's do this together. Enjoy the show. Hi, and welcome to the S.J. Childs Show. I'm your host, S.J. Childs, and today I have Helen Edwards, who I haven't had the opportunity to meet up close yet, but I'm so honored, and what a pleasure to have you here today, Ellen. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Hey, Ahie, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm pretty excited to talk to you. This is my first guest appearance, I guess you can say, since the passing of my mother. So
Yeah.
nice to get back out there.
Oh, I'm so honored to have you. Thank you for coming onto the show. And I was just telling you before that I'm dealing with my grandfather and in-home care for him, and I knew that you would be understanding of that situation for that reason. But it's just such an honor because I've been, just watching your journey in the podcast world, and kind of when I came in, you're already amazing. So I'm like, oh gosh, goals, right? So it's really a pleasure to have you here, and just I want to just dive deep into, how it all played out for you and where you started. So give us an introduction.
Sure. All right. Well, again, thank you. My name is Helen Edwards. I'm the host of the Sexy Freedom Media podcast. My journey with that began I want to say almost 5 years ago now.
Wow.
And it began with the idea that, it's so funny. Almost all the ideas I have really weren't mine in the beginning. They were like my friends' ideas. And then I was like, oh my God, let's do it. And I'm the doer of the group.
Yeah.
I'm the let's make things happen action wise. And then they end up falling off because they get, wasn't their thing.
Yeah.
And then here I am holding on to it still.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm a starter. I'm not a good finisher of some projects, but I love to start a project.
True, true. Yeah.
My ADHD get a hold of me a little bit there.
Hey, same here. How long have you had your podcast, Sarah?
So I have been running for a year. I'm on 104 episodes aired. So I'm an overachiever. I jump in feet first and just go all out usually in most things that I do. So it's been so amazing. I couldn't imagine that, number one, the amount of amazing, incredible people. I probably say those two words way too much now that I get to meet. But not only that, Helen, you know what really happened for me was a new love for myself, a new idea of a new Sarah-ness that just came out of it. And I was so amazed that, out of the fear of being on camera, which I'm sure is good, real for anyone, just being good enough, being valuable enough, having confidence in what I had to say and the message I wanted to share. And when I started just as a guest, it was great. And then same thing, somebody said, you really need to get into podcasting. And I said, oh gosh, I think, could I really? And then here I am. But my husband was so supportive. He went out and bought me like 8 new outfits. He did all of this that you see in the background. He's so amazing and so supportive. And through all that, here I was like 10 years being a stay-at-home mom. I never cared about putting makeup on, or, I love sundresses, but that's about as fancy as you'd get me. So it came this new me that I discovered in getting ready and more appreciating myself and thinking, wait a second, I still got this. Like, I still look good in makeup. I still love to curl my hair and be, fancy lady. So it was such an eye-opening growing experience.
Yeah, I love that you said that. And I shout out to your husband. That's so cool that he did all
Thanks.
that in the background. A lot of podcasters, I see their backdrops and I'm like, oh my God, that's so odd. Like they took time.
Yeah.
And I think that's really awesome that you did that. Or he
Thank
did that.
you. Yeah, right. He's gonna be all the credit there. I was like shoved in the corner of my kitchen with some plants behind me. That's where I was going with it. I don't have the same vision he does.
It's so crazy because most podcasters I meet also, they all have, I mean, well, a year in, over 100 episodes. I'm almost 5 years in, and I think I'm at my 90, I'm at a 92.
Okay.
And the crazy part is because for me, everything I've ever done is based on my business name, Sexy Freedom. Well, the freedom part. I was like, I'll do it when I do it. I'll
Yeah.
get it done when I get it done. It's all in the freedom and the flow of it. Like if I'm the type of person, like I'm an overachiever. So if I get caught up in the, get this, and this done, it becomes a job and it's no longer fun. And
Yeah.
I'm a rebel at heart. So I'll rebel against myself. So I had to be careful.
I love that. And what's your horoscope sign again?
I'm a Virgo.
Okay. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm a Cancer. So I think that, I don't really know how people pair up in their signs very well, but I know I'm emotional and, compassionate. There we go.
I can already see the Cancer in you. I mean, my sister is a Cancer.
Okay.
And she's really bubbly, just
Yes.
like how your presence is right now. So
Oh,
I love that though.
oh, thank you. And I love somebody who's more grounded, but also a risk taker and like not afraid to say what they mean, because I am sometimes in those moments, where I'm like, oh, and my husband is a Leo. So he is basically like, I'll eat their faces off, Oh, got that.
Yeah, my boyfriend's a Leo. I get it too.
Okay. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. In fact, I've seen you guys' pictures and I thought, what a cute couple. It must just, must be the matchup, right?
The universe did it. That's all I got to say
I
about
love
that.
it. Me too. Mine was, do you have a unique story of how you guys met?
Yeah, we do. And I'll just do a one-liner for it because we can talk about that some other time.
Right.
I was traveling through Wyoming in 2020. I was doing a solo traveling for myself, and just having to pass through Wyoming. Met him at a bar that
Oh
night.
my
And
gosh.
we never left.
Really? And how long's it been?
It's been a year and a half, and
Okay.
I lived in Phoenix for 16 years. So
Oh, wow. What a big change.
big change, a big change.
Climate change.
Never saw it coming.
Oh, I love that you did that. Good for you. So proud of you for just taking the reins on that one and, making forging your own path. I'm so on that road. I met my husband 18 years ago at his kitchen table, having coffee every morning. And then when he broke up with his girlfriend that I was best friends with, we just stayed in touch. He and I stayed friends. And finally, one day we were like, are we like liking each other? This is creepy. And we decided to flip a quarter on whether to date or not. And here we are, 3 kids, 18 years later.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a fun story.
Yeah, it's so interesting how when you just kind of give yourself to a situation that might be what could happen.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah. So tell us more about, where it all started.
Okay. So, yeah, the podcast the name came out of my business name, which the book came out of the name, sexy's somewhere in everything. And that word really came to me because I was at a point in my life where I wasn't feeling sexy and I wanted to feel sexy and not feel shamed for wanting to feel that way.
Yeah.
To this day, it's shamed. I mean, the word can mean so many different things to so many people. It can even be trauma triggered for some people. And I mean, if you look up sexy freedom, I think I'm like somewhere in the mix on the second page, but the first 2 pages are all nothing but porn. And
gosh.
And I remember somebody was like, do you want to change it? And I was like, no, like I'm keeping this. Like everybody this word belongs to everybody,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to change it just because it's mixed. I mean, sure, you can't go onto my website in certain companies. If you're there, it gets
Yeah.
banned
Hey.
because of the word sexy. So I
Oh
just
my
thought,
goodness.
I'm not gonna bow down. I'm keeping that. And and I've talked about so many things on the podcast that have to do with not just sex, but like even sex trafficking, suicide, like the word freedom in itself is very sexy in a way that it's liberating. That's where I'm coming from with the word sexy.
Mhm. I
And
like that.
also, yeah, and also I like to talk about sex. I mean, I'm one of them gals, so it's the podcast, coming back to the podcast and how all of these things started was why I held on to it and decided not to let it go, because I wanted to a few times, was that I kept coming back to, why am I doing this? And I thought, it's a portal, it's a memory tank, and I can
Yeah.
always look back on it. And if something happens to me, just same reason I wrote my book, if something happens to me or somebody I love, our memories will always be forged in written form or audio or somewhere in the ether. And sure enough, I mean, the last chapter is dedicated to my brother's taking his life, because it happened during the publishing process. And the same with the audiobook that's coming out, it's dedicated to my mom who just passed. And 4 weeks after my brother took his life, my mom was a guest on my podcast show.
Wow.
And I'll forever have that. And it just solidifies why I started and why I must keep going. So that's kind of the journey in a nutshell.
I have chills. Absolutely. I mean, not only can I empathize on losing someone in both ways, but having that, don't get emotional, having those moments to look back on and to see their face and hear their voices.
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
No,
Um,
needed.
yeah, I just had the opportunity to just ask my grandfather a few questions on camera and hear his stories. And he may forget them by next week with Alzheimer's, and now I'll have a piece of that forever. And I've never, sorry, this is the first time I've talked about it. At overwhelming, right? That's why all the emotions. But what a gift to give yourself and your family members forever. And just like you said, I have written children's books about my children, about our experience. They've done their own cute little podcasts, which is so cool. And so to share these experiences, not just with your family, but to show the world like these types of things are value. They bring value. These are the moments more than, Oscar winning films or Netflix series. These are real, like the real authentic stuff.
Yes, yes. And I acknowledge you for sharing that, because
Oh,
I know
thanks.
I can feel that. I know what it's like to, well, the
Yeah.
audience, how hard it is to talk about grief, whether, it's somebody passing or somebody that who's slowly slipping away in your life. And that can be anybody that you're close to. But it's important for us to acknowledge one another and going through that, because it's a shared heartfelt feeling. And it's grief is, as far as I know to this day, in my 41 young years, it's the hardest thing I've ever had to go through in life, over and over and over again. And it doesn't get easier, but it does provide wisdom that wasn't there before. So I'm not going to say I'm thankful, because there's parts of me that aren't thankful for that. But I do understand completely that it is a part of the human experience. So
Right.
accepted.
Isn't that the truth? And when you can be, not like you said, not open to it, we don't want it, we don't love it, but when we can be willing to ride that wave, to go through the emotions instead of run from them, we can more ably process and ease ourselves through it,
Mhm,
you know.
mhm.
And it's so, there's like so tricky, right? There's so much sensitivity in that you have to be so careful with not injuring somebody else's experience along the way.
Totally. Yeah. And along that line of just, you know, when you're sharing your experiences, you do inspire other people. And when it comes to grief, I feel like that's more of a another world that you step into where, like my sister said, where there's no rules. There's no rules in this arena of grief, because you're gonna feel everything, and some of it's not pretty.
Yeah.
And it's okay for you not to be pretty in this moment.
Mm.
And those that are in the arena of grief understand that. If you're not in it, stay out of it, because you trust me, you don't want to
Right.
be. And that's okay too. You can love from afar. So
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so telling. I mean, in just our days now on this earth, and how, if I'm sure most everyone, if not every single person, has now experienced trauma in the sense of, COVID passing, all of those things. And it's like a worldwide trauma response, right? And it's almost something we all had to go through. Now we all can kind of understand more of one another, which
Mhm.
I think is one of the most important things for our future, is being more empathetic, being more compassionate, understanding, and kind to everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, except the predators.
Okay. We'll agree with that one.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Oh my gosh. And I am really, even them, I want to say, it's too bad that somebody couldn't have helped them back when they really needed it.
Mm.
Um, because know that, it all starts at this in innocence, and it's too bad it's ever skewed along the way.
Yeah, it's a rough world. I mean, I'm kind of a true crime addict. And
Okay.
I also, since growing up, we were kind of raised in Barrio, so it's got a lot of uh, crime, I guess you could say
Yeah.
that. And when you see it in front of you, and you grow up in this world of like your mother's like that mama bear protecting you, like single mom of 5 kids, you learn real quickly that there are predators out there, and there's different kinds. There's different kinds. And like you were saying, some of them maybe think they could have been helped at a young age. And then some of them, they've got some kind of brain issue that, I'm not a psychologist
An
or a doctor.
imbalance. Yeah.
Yeah, something but you can't see through people. That's the
Yeah.
problem. You can't, we all wish we had that power of to see invisible, like what's going on behind everything. And, like I say, not my problem, not my problem. Because I used to be somebody who was like, I want to save the world. But then I realized, after going through grief, I realized how big, but also how small the world is.
Mm.
And the world ceases to exist after I leave it. So my world right now is me. And if I'm
Yeah.
going to share the best parts of the world that I perceive, I'm going to be a better me. So that's how my
Yeah.
evolution.
Oh, I love that. And it is so true. You really can't, like, yes, I am the bubbly opposite of that. Of course, I want to change the world, right?
Yeah.
But and I want to do it for children. Like, I am a children's advocate, and I have 3 kids and a husband, all with autism. And so I am just like a strong, hard-hitting autism advocate. But at the same time, it does start with me, and it has to, because as a caregiver, I know firsthand when I lose sight of myself, I am not giving the best care anymore. And it has to come back to me. And I think that you'll find this really interesting. I said I have a stepdaughter that's 22. And so I've already raised an adult. And I see all of the error in my ways because I came from the same parenting style that I had, which was not the best for doing it in these days, right? And so now I have my own two biological kids, and they have different needs that I can't parent that same way. So I have to learn this whole new style of parenting. And in that, I realized that with the oldest, she didn't have a good sense of self. She didn't have self empowerment. She had these shaky foundations to work with, and that was it. And I thought, okay, with my youngest, I am going to empower her from day one. Like when she was little, you know, how family, oh, who do you love? Who do you love the most? You love mom the most, blah, blah, blah. I told her from the get go, you love you first. You come first. And it's not in a selfish way. It can be, but I don't mean it. You know, I want her to know that she comes first, that her self of empowerment, confidence, self esteem, that comes first. She needs to think of herself. And us as parents, that's a little tricky sometimes because we want to be parents and we want to have control of things or whatnot. But when you're raising an independent person, you've got to back off of the controls, and you have to realize the more safe boundaries I set up for this child to have their own control, it's going to further their, you know, empowerment for themselves in the future. So yes. So hopefully she will have that.
Yeah, I'm glad you're doing that. I'm glad you're mentioning that, you know, as a stronger woman, wiser woman, that you're kind of, you know, showing her how to do it, because not a lot of women have those role models. So thank you, because she's going to go out in the world, and she's the same age as my son. And, you know, I see him going out in the world. These are the future coming up.
Yes.
So it's great that we empower them, because, you know, maybe they have a friend who doesn't get the same empowerment or support. They now can be that inspiration and support to their friends.
100%. No, I couldn't agree with that more. So many children in our neighborhood that, you know, we find that we raise all summer long and provide snacks and play and, you know, exciting education things. They don't get away from it here. No, I make everything fun, but I love to empower, you know, their friends too, because I see like that was me kind of a thing. Like, oh my gosh, like I want to reach just down and be like, I get it. Like, let me in, but you know, that's really tricky too. That's a fine line.
Yeah. I took my son to Tony Robbins when he was, I want to say he was 12 or 13. I can't remember. It was so long ago. But yeah, I was just like, I'm getting you in Tony Robbins. And it was a game changer for him at that young age. And everybody in the audience was telling him, I wish my parents had brought me here when I was this age.
Goals.
And I'm telling you, it was incredible. And I really feel that was a game changer for him, because now the way our conversations are, he's still grown up. He's into health. He's into fitness. He's mindfulness. He's into learning and seeking and growing. I mean, things that I wasn't at his age. And I really feel like that was a big one for him.
Oh man, I am going to do that with my daughter. I can't wait to tell you when I've done it. I'm following up with you. Yeah, that is, what a great idea. I hadn't even considered something like that. Nuggets, beautiful, wonderful, absolutely fantastic. Oh my gosh. Tell us about the book process.
Yeah. So the book process, again, like the podcast process, it was something that I wasn't sure I was going to write a book. Okay. So I've kind of been telling the story to myself that I never wanted to be an author. That's because at that moment, I didn't want to be an author. But as I look back through my childhood, I've always been a writer. I mean, I remember stapling papers together with little pictures on them with little words. And my mom would hold that and she would say, you know, she calls me Non wrote her first book, you know. I didn't connect the dots. Now that I've taken more journeys back home towards my childhood. But the story goes that I didn't want to be an author, and I didn't know I was going to be an author. I just wanted to write something funny stories about my dating life and my friends.
Oh.
So it began like that. And I watched The Notebook, love The Notebook. And again, it went back to if actually early dementia runs in our family. So I thought if something happens to me, I want somebody to read my life back to me. And I want it to be really awesome. So I kind of took the movie like that in relation to my book. I began to write the book, and then 100 pages in, I realized I needed an editor. So I put out an ad out there on Craigslist at the time, and a woman from New York answered. And she started questioning, why do you think like this? Why do you, I've heard this. I haven't heard this before. Basically, because I was a notorious cheater at the time and felt nothing. And I wasn't sure whether I was narcissistic, if I was psychopathic, because I really hadn't, I was filled with numbness. And I found a way to confirm why I was cheating. Like I thought it was okay. I didn't see anything wrong with it. It was really strange because now I'm going through the revisions of the narration of the book, and I'm just like, wow, I have grown so much.
Hey.
But it began like that. It was really the editor who prompted me and pushed me forward. And 5 years and 5 editors later, I finally had a finished book. And then that's how that came out.
Wow. Oh my gosh. And the great thing I love about doing this is you and I haven't talked before. We haven't shared anything. I will tell you, I was a serial cheater from as early as in high school until I met my husband. I'm for a decade or more. Seriously. And I've never, you don't, that's not something you're like, hi, I'm, nice to meet
Right.
you. I'm a cheater. And so I can completely get like how owning up to that behavior and that type of a mindset can be scary. If it's okay, I love to tell the story of like how this little thing changed for me.
Yeah.
It was with my husband. I had been married before. So this is my second marriage. We didn't have children together. He was abusive and awful and bless his heart. Hopefully he's whatever. Anyways, I came into this next relationship in that same manner, just, not caring and just wanting companionship wherever I could find it, basically. And I realized that I was starting to have different feelings for this person, that he provided me something no one else had before, that he saw me in a different way. And our physical relationship, everything was different about him. And I had plenty of relationships. I won't say anything. I'm not going to go that far into truth, but but it was like sitting around with a guy friend telling stories, and we started to begin to be like, oh my gosh, we're so much alike. Well, there was a part at the beginning of our relationship where I had found some information, because if you go looking, you will find it. And that's why I think it's horrible to just don't go looking. It's the best thing ever. Don't go looking, right? But when you set up those lines of trust, you don't have to do that anymore. But before that happened, I did go looking and I did find, and I was so angry, but I didn't say anything and I held it in. And what had happened instead, I started just lashing out and I started being super passive aggressive. And so, of course, 3 months later, I was like, okay, I can't live like this anymore. I did this, I found this. I'm so angry at you. How could this happen? And he said, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you were dishonest with me. Like, I thought we were going to be different. I thought it would be different with you. And that broke my heart. And I thought, oh my gosh, what can I do to fix this? Like, how could I ever possibly fix this at this point? Well, he said, I don't know, but find some help, because unless you get help, like, this isn't going anywhere. I did the craziest thing. I looked for resources. Of course, there's no resources to help you stop cheating or stop lying to people. So I thought, okay, well, what if I did something that other addicted people do? And I went to an NA meeting and I sat down And they went around the room and said what they were addicted to. And when I said, I'm addicted to lying, people were like, she doesn't deserve to be here. This is ridiculous. But as they heard my story over the next 8 to 10 weeks, they realized that not only did I deserve to be there, but I deserve to come out of there and to turn into a new person. I deserve to turn a new leaf. And I did. And it was literally, it's been 17 years now that I am the most honest person I know. My husband is the most honest person I know. And we have forged this new life that has opened up the most amazing opportunities that I never would have had I had stayed on that course.
Wow. Yeah, that's bravo.
Thank you. It's different,
Bravo.
right?
It's really courageous of you to go to the meetings and share and kind of identify those behaviors, because, I feel you on that. I know how challenging a whole behavior that you're instilled with, and think it's okay to try to change that. It's challenging, it's difficult, and there's a lot of karma that will come your way to help you change your habits, people.
Yeah, that
Life is on your side.
It is so true. It's so true. And now, I have this best friend who started out as a best friend. He's still my best friend. We have the same spiritual beliefs. We set our sleep frequency music to reset our chakras every night, and if I don't do it, he does. But it's so nice to just have that partner in crime to do those things with, that always, we're each other's ride or die. He has my back, I have his. Like, it's the most amazing fairy tale. I never knew I could have a happy ending like this.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yep. I feel you. I'm in that same boat right now.
Yeah, I know. And I see the happiness just in your photos and stuff. And, I haven't met him or anything, but yeah, I can see that same air in you too. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, very much. It's so interesting, right? And random thoughts to have. Like, I'm such a strange thinker sometimes. Like, I overthink. And so sometimes when I'm looking at other people, I always think, well, what's their life like? Or what's this like? And so I tend to think deeply about people before they know me. And so it comes off a little strange, but I don't know. I'm very compassionate that way.
Yeah, I think you took the words right out of my mouth, actually. I'm very much alike. Like, that's why we've the universe put us together, because like attracts like. Same. I'm always thinking, what's behind door number one? What's behind door number two? Like, what are they really like? Are they, and I think it's because I know so many people personally who have a persona on social media, but actually don't have the same life, in the background. And that's okay. You do you, boo. But I know I always ask my friends and family, like, am I who I say I am? Because I want to make sure I'm aligned, because I know that alignment is great, because it's healthy for me. I don't care what anybody else does. For me, bringing it back to that smaller world, I'm really trying to focus on being a better person, because I know that there's so much more I can give when my cup is overflowing,
Isn't that the truth?
Yes.
And I met you through the Indie Pods Summit group, I think. Is I think that you were on the first summit that I was on. And then of course we had this last one, and I was going to reach out to you, but I figured you knew about it. And if you couldn't, you would have done it if you would have known about it already. But it was through that. And so I had the opportunity to actually co-host this last weekend. And so it was just like so amazing. And some of the topics, just listening throughout the day, oh boy, I got some wise information that, now I'm like, okay. And all throughout the whole thing, just realizing, wow, they're so authentic. Like, they're giving all of this info, but they're being so real at the same time. Like, I haven't run across too many that, are not really just who they are. It's so hard for me. I mean, I couldn't fake being on camera like this or doing anything like that. So, but I guess I'm not a good actress then. Oh, that is so funny. But
yeah, congratulations on being the
Thanks.
co-host. That's really cool.
It was a lot of fun.
Shout out
Yeah, I
to
really love
podcasts.
them. They're so great. And I'm in the autism community. I'm going to be hosting my own summit this summer. And so to have the opportunity to learn, to be upfront and get the experience, now I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to get a lot of extra sleep and make sure there's lots of extra espresso around and whatever I need because oh my gosh. And I was overwhelmed the day after. I was like, and I did a little live yesterday, in fact, and said, like, it was so much fun to be a part of that. But I was so overwhelmed the next morning when I woke up. I was exhausted. It was like, it just took everything out of me.
Mhm.
And I don't think that's something that people give themselves grace for and give enough understanding to themselves and just say, okay, I just need this day to relax. Like yesterday was such a big high that I just woke up and I was just like, oh, I can't do anything. Can someone walk me? Can you push me to the living room, roll me up the stairs? But it was like, I don't know. And it just surprised me that I like had this lack of energy. So I thought it was so important to share. Like you said, I just love to be authentic and show that like this is what you get.
Totally, yeah. After I used to do some speaking events, I felt the same way. There's a lot of energy that you're putting in, through you, coming through you and putting out. And in that energy, when you're giving so much, it's got to be refilled somehow. And for me, it was, hitting the clubs.
I
I
love
was like, I
it.
need that energy source from all the other dancers in this energy play field. And now I don't go to clubs because there's none around here really.
Oh,
I just
right.
go maybe once a year
Dang
at least.
it.
I get tired. I'm in my 40s now, so I'm slowing down. I will say I still draw my energy source from a lot of music and dance. So this whole house is always music and dance.
I see that. I see your videos and working out and staying healthy. And
Mhm.
I'm just so proud of you and your journey. I'm so excited to be able to watch it and keep following you. Before we go, tell us where we can find podcasts in the book.
Sure, yeah. Sexyfreedom.com. If wherever you're at lets you into it. This is the book.
Yes.
Let me see. I got a little background, so it might cut it out a little bit. Let me see. Okay. How
Perfect.
about that?
Yeah, that's great. I'll
So
plug a little picture up here too when I
yeah,
finish
thank
it.
you. Um, so the book is going to be on audiobook hopefully next month, crossing my fingers. The book's already available on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles online. I believe on Goodreads, the ebook version is available, but the audiobook is pretty big for me. The podcast, everything can be found on one link. It's a link tree dash or slash sexy freedom media. But
Perfect.
you can find Google me. I'm on
Ex-
Google, okay?
I am too. Yay. Googleable. I
Yeah.
love it. Yes, the universe did bring us together. And it was such an honor and a pleasure to, I mean, go through like a range of emotions with you today.
Was.
Oh,
And
so
thank
it's my
you,
honor.
Ahia, Ahia is thank you and Apache, but thank you for coming or for
Yeah,
coming to
thank
me
you.
because I went after my mom passed, I said to myself, I'm shifting my energy and the universe, the God, the great divine, the great spirit, creator, whoever, whatever, it's something bigger is always like, it's time, Helen. It's time, and you were part of that hand. So
I love that. Oh,
appreciate
I'm glad I
you.
was a good listener at that moment.
Thank
Thank you
you.
guys so much for being wonderful listeners, wonderful viewers. Helen, I just honor you as a woman and as a friend, and I can't wait to stay connected. So thank you so much for your time today. We'll be in touch.
Yes.
The SG Child Show, produced by SG Childs LLC. Thanks to all my viewers and listeners for your continued love and support. And thank you to the guests of the SJ Child Show. It's been an honor to have you on the show. Thank you to everyone who continues to support me. Go to my social media and let's build this community together through kindness, compassion,
and education for others.
Hi, and thanks for joining the S.J. Child Show. The S.J. Child Show brings value to families through education and resources. But the S.J. Child Show isn't just about me. It's about us as a community. Join me as we help educate and support our community, help bring kindness and love and inclusion to all. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and watch. I really appreciate all the support from all of the viewers and listeners, and I just want to let you know I want you to join me on this journey. Come and follow my social media, and let's do this together. Enjoy the show. Introducing Autism Vehicle Home Safety Kits, Emergency Responder, alert stickers, personal profiles with autism needs and a communication board, masks and earplugs, keeping families and emergency responders educated and safe. Get yours today at sjchilds.org. Helping autism families impact their child's developmental milestones through home relocation, community resources, and home designs. For every 3 homes Natalie Castro sells, she funds and designs a sensory room for a community center servicing individuals with autism. She volunteers to coach law enforcement, first responders, and ER nurses how to have a positive experience for individuals on the autism spectrum.